All right, welcome to the video, guys. Realm First Serpent Shrine Cavern has been cleared. Congratulations to all the guilds who have achieved the Realm Firsts. I believe Trevor Totems got Lurker below, and then Sure or Yikes was able to pretty much clean up the rest of the instance. So big congratulations to you guys. We're looking forward to fighting you for those Realm Firsts on the Ascended version when that comes out. So before we actually jump into the real part of the video, this is just something I want to discuss really quickly. This is not a personal attack on anyone involved in these Realm Firsts. So if you guys are watching this from opposing guilds, understand that I hold zero animosity towards anyone in the raids that happen to get these Realm Firsts. You guys are exceptional players. I've played with a lot of people in my time with Ascension, and their ability to overcome mechanics and theorize and strategize and play their characters to the pinnacle of the play skill is above the average person. So this is why these people get these Realm Firsts. So this isn't some attack on you guys. This is more giving another side to maybe spark some discussion on how these Realm First raids are released and maybe the efficacy of the testing moving forward. So to start, I want to go over the very first boss. Now, this boss is relatively easy, but there is a couple mechanics that aren't very clear of what you should do and how to overcome them, which I'll leave little clips and screenshots of us doing them so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. So the first boss, he does nature and frost damage, and you're supposed to pull him across the line. He's supposed to have these two phases, yada, yada, yada. He's fairly vanilla as far as mechanics. But his big mechanic was this tidal wave mechanic, which was basically this repeating, expanding tidal wave of damage, which is essentially a one-shot. You could probably bubble through it. You could probably do other things to get through it. But we decided to not use that for our Realm First because we wanted to try to actually just do the mechanics and see what the fight had to offer. Now, conventional thinking is that things on ground equals bad. You know, the old adage, don't stand in fire. Well, this was definitely not true for this fight, and it kind of bit us in the ass. The only problem is that the visual indication for the tidal wave is completely screwed up. Analyzing the footage that we had and the footage that I was taking and other people in a raid, it looks like the Y coordinate for the ground effect of the tidal wave indicator was fixed. It didn't check ground collision well enough, and in our first 3 or 4 attempts, we were tanking them on the platform and basically not seeing the indication whatsoever. And I'll show you guys one of our first pulls. So that ground effect was kind of messed up. And not only that, the light platform that you're seeing, the platform that's lit up where Hydros stands, doesn't actually show up for people who have the updated model client. So people playing on the existing client, the old one, has it, and the people who updated don't have it. So communication between the people's clients was mixed. So some people saying maybe we don't need to stand in light, some people saying we might need to stand in light, but we couldn't get a concrete answer because it was physically different between the two clients. So that was a really, really big stepping stone for us, is realizing that the visual indications for this boss was different for everybody, depending on not only their graphics settings, particle density, some other things in your actual in-game graphics would affect it, but also the updated models changed it. So again, this kind of comes down to, I don't think they really checked a lot of it, and we ended up spending about an hour on this boss, just slamming our heads against the wall because we were trying to obey our own senses, and eventually what we found out is if you just pull them into the poison side and just stand on the bubbles, you negate the entire fight. So it turned into a literal tank and spank with 3 adds versus this crazy back and forth mechanic where you got to pull him and changing debuffs, and it just, yeah. So this is kind of our first hurdle for the raid, was the first boss, and it just was completely bugged. Things were doing damage when they weren't supposed to. The nature damage debuff was actually increasing the frost damage on top of the frost debuff, increasing the frost damage as well, and not increasing the nature damage subsequently. So there was just a lot of things that went wrong with this first fight, And I feel that if we were to kind of get lucky and just notice on our second or third pull that we could just avoid 90% of the fight, I feel like we might have had a better chance at it. But moving on to the rest of the instance, just touching briefly on the trash, I felt the trash was appropriately difficult. There was times where 90% of our raid would wipe, and we actually experienced one wipe completely right before Leo thrashed the blind. So good on you guys. The trash was subsequently hard. I'm looking forward to an Ascended. I don't like when raids have just absolute jokes for trash mobs, so I'm glad they're at least challenging. As far as the other bosses, I think they were decently well-tuned. Leothras the Blind was a little wacky in the fact that he would, like, aggro dump every second. So basically the whole raid had to just kind of scatter and keep running. Again, kind of going against conventional thinking of, you know, the tank heal and taunt, all that stuff. That didn't really work. The blades going around weren't that big of a deal. The demon form actually was really, really fun. The soaking chaos blast was really cool. The splitting at the end, having to deal with both of them was pretty chaotic. But overall, I liked the fight. A lot of people in the guild didn't, but I might be alone in that. Mogrim Tidewalker was kind of a joke. He was essentially 100% vanilla, except he added a elite mob that did like one mechanic, one healed, one added a damage reduction, I believe, and one was like a caster to the pack. So you kill the elite and then kill the mobs and then kill the boss again. So it was, I'm hoping for Ascended it's a little bit more mechanics, because that guy was an absolute joke. It was a one-shot pull. The Fathom Lord Krathus guy, the guy with basically Mulgar, again, pull one shot. The mobs had like 500k HP. We were able to kill him in like 15 seconds. Nuke the boss. The boss had zero mechanics. It was, yeah, the fight was easier than like a heroic dungeon boss, just to say the least. The Lurker Below, I know a lot of people, especially in my guild, hated that fight because it kind of had that anti-fun mechanic of the reflect. So you had to kind of meter the amount of damage you took. The fight was slower, and you kind of had to slow burn them. So speedrun strats for that fight are pretty much going to be negated by how good your healers can be. And we got some pretty damn good healers, and we were struggling keeping up. So it wasn't necessarily a bad fight. It was just kind of like an anti-fun fight. So I would say maybe think of a different way to tune the boss or take the mechanic and change it into some other way to make it more interesting. Now, the big lady, Lady Vosh. This fight was exceptionally fun. So 100% kudos to the dev team who put this together. If anyone hasn't actually fought Lady Vosh in TBC, it is exceptionally fun, even without the Ascended mechanics. This fight was incredibly stressful. It was very well tuned. The ads that came out hit incredibly hard. The mechanics were clear enough to be able to make definitive decisions on how to deal with mechanics. You know, playing basketball was also really fun. The ads changed a little bit. Instead of, you know, having a Fen Strider come out, we had a Hydra instead, and you could just like taunt that thing off to the side. Not that big of a deal. But the fight itself, I believe, was probably one of the most fair as far as if you were able to take the information presented to you and come up with a cohesive strategy quick enough, you were the first one to get it. And I fully support the guys who got that realm first. It was an incredibly fun fight. It was challenging for all the right reasons. There wasn't any real gimmicky mechanics. It just required great raid coordination, good communication, and very, very good coordination with healers and tanks and DPS. So overall, I would say Lady Vosh was probably the funnest and most fair and balanced fight. So congratulations to the guys who got to experience their own first on that. I can tell you, even though we were about 35 minutes late to the party, I felt that it was an absolute blast to do, and one of the fights I'll definitely look forward to doing every week from now on. Before closing the video, I just kind of want to give a summary of my thoughts. coming from someone who hadn't experienced anything but the Mythic Realm Firsts. This is definitely my first experience into doing the Raid Realm Firsts. It kind of put a sour taste in my mouth overall. About an hour and a half after we got done raiding, there was an announcement in World Chat, and I'm assuming on the Discord that there was going to be some Serpent Strand Cavern fixes. So I don't want to speculate too much on it because, again, I'm not one to shit on other players. You guys are great. This is definitely more on the dev team. I know you guys are very low staffed. You're probably pushing yourselves to the ends of the earth to give us content that we can play. And for the things that you did get right, I want to give you all the props in the world. I truly felt that SCC or SSC was an incredibly fun experience. It's definitely going to be way funner than farming Kara again for the next 11 months. I would just say that personally, and I'm just speaking completely for myself. I don't know how anybody in any other guilds feels about this. I would personally give up the right to have any Realm First achievements going forward to be able to test these properly for the people who then get to see it later. I would love to see maybe a dedicated Hitman squad of some of the better players on the server maybe get together and maybe put things aside as far as achievements and make the end game as flawless and bug-free as possible for the rest of the player base, because I can tell you now, if you're watching this video and you haven't done it yet, Serpent Strand Cavern is one of, if not the best instances ever to be created in World of Warcraft, and the Ascended mechanics definitely add a layer to it that makes it just that much better. So take it for what it is. I hope you guys had fun today. I definitely had fun. Everyone in the guilds who got their Realm First, again, congratulations, guys. That's awesome. We're looking forward to the Ascended release. And anyone who's in the Pug world, good luck with the Serpent Strand Cavern, man. It's a ton of fun. I hope you guys liked the video. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.